Alright, welcome back everyone, Zaf here. For today's video, we're going to cover why exactly we're getting 7,000 Essence Stones for free. As you can see, it's compensation of apology. Very strange. So let's cover that because there's a lot to unpack, and I do want to give my opinions for it, because as a content creator for this game, I have to voice concerns of the player base, and of course I myself have a lot of concerns, which we'll cover shortly. But just really quick congrats to CNKZ from your first commenter on the last video. Here is your shout out, and enjoy your very exclusive Discord role. And if you haven't checked it out just yet, make sure to check out our Battlefield Time guide. It's a very simple guide going over the build, the process, the battle, etc. So make sure you give it a watch. Now, if you weren't aware, two of our hunters got a shadow nerf. And listen, I know these shadow nerfs are bad, but one thing that's actually concerning me is where are the traces of shadow in the Battlefield Time exchange? I noted this before. They are totally gone from the shop, and I don't think this was in any notice at all. So I guess another sort of shadow nerf happening here? I'm not a big fan. If anything, the hunter changes were fine. They can go back and change these, but what about the shop? These resources were tough to get. Traces of shadow are a must in this game. With all these shadows happening, I will cover this in a bit. And just like this change here, from my understanding, Parkeejin's weapon as well, that apparently got a shadow nerf. I cannot confirm it just yet, it's just speculation for me at this point, but I do recall myself, was this not a different description? Previously, if I understood correctly, it was for all team members, but now it's only for the team member with the highest total power. Could be wrong, just want to ask the community, if you recall, if you have screenshots, let us know, because if this was changed as well, what other changes are here that we haven't noticed just yet? Very important for us to point these out. The devs did explain why this happened, so let's go back to that screen. So first off, covering the nerfs, previously, in the recent update, Emma was nerfed from 10% HP all the way to 5%, and Jiwoo as well, her effect was changed to 10% when it was actually 15%, though I am a bit confused because previously it said the user's break damage, but now it says break effectiveness. I'm not sure which one's better. I'm not sure what the calculation is like, if it's the same, if it's a wording issue. But another thing that has been slightly changed that we haven't gotten notice for. So I really want to see these text changes also be included in patch notes, but the devs did explain what has happened. They said we have confirmed the issue resulted from incorrect implementation of the past test data during the past update. Kinda strange. While focusing on the confirmed changes during the update, sufficient verification was not conducted on parts outside the targeted items. We sincerely apologize, etc. So the devs are obviously apologetic, which is fine. Lots of essence being given out. So devs, you know what? Make more mistakes like this. I do appreciate it. I love these essence stones, but I do want to be the neutral party in this. But first I want to ask the community, how do you feel about this? Because I feel like my view on this is totally different from everyone else's. So do drop it down below in the comments. I want to know exactly what you think. Are you a bit mad about these changes being applied with no notice? These were not in the update notices, so these were a surprise. These nerfs just happened out of nowhere, and now the devs are fixing it, obviously after a community backlash. So the question is, was this on purpose? And were they just trying to sweep this under the rug? I say no, that's so unlikely, chat. These devs are not foolish. There's logs of all this data everywhere. These mistakes are bound to happen. So I'm kind of shocked about the community response. It was required, but you have to remember these changes are very trivial. It was required. The backlash, of course, these changes should not have happened, but honestly, you have to remember these are the same devs buffing all our hunters that do not need to be buffed, and by do not I mean they could have just released these hunters and not gone back and provided buffs. We have Wu, my #1 nemesis. He got a buff out of nowhere, and he actually became viable. The devs did not have to do this. They could have just released a new break hunter that was win-based. But no, they went back and buffed our current hunters. There is not a lot of other games that do this. So please chat, do take note of this. The devs are human. They make mistakes. They did not pay me off for this video. I'm just the neutral party. I want to look at the bad. I want to look at the good as well. There is a lot on both sides. Actually, no. There is less bad than good, but there actually is some bad I want to mention. If we go right here, if you missed it, which I did mention earlier, in the Battlefield Time exchange, they totally removed a bunch of shadow wards. There's nothing for shadows here. there were all the materials right here, and they were actually decent value, the Traces of Shadow and the Advanced material, but it is now gone. Very strange. I do not like that change. Battlefield Time was a great source for all those Traces of Shadow, but now they're gone, and I don't recall this being in any notes at all, so another Shadow nerf of sorts. I do not approve personally. I didn't take note of this way back when, so I'm personally not a fan. So although there's a lot of good, there are still those glimpses of a little bad. See, Choi got a buff, very nice, but the devs cannot do this in the future. They have to make sure all data is reflected in the patch notes, because otherwise the player base will be outraged, and that is a very reasonable response because we don't know what's going on. These nerfs happen, and then all we can expect is it was intentional, and we obviously get very mad. The devs that provide a notice, they notice these changes, and they want to see the specific root cause, which they did, and of course if there were decreases, they'll go back and remedy them. So overall, I guess this was a very good PR move. The devs certainly did a good job in responding to community. Everyone is happy, but still, there are probably other changes the devs need to be alerted on, like the exchange shop, because again, I am not happy about that. There are so many new shadows coming out. If we go right here, you can see we just had Serbi, and we have Kaisel, and we have this new shadow as well. So how are we supposed to get all those traces? If you're free to play, you're struggling. Let me tell you, I'm pay to win, and I'm struggling too. Traces are not easy to get, and you know what? While we are here, I'm so annoyed at this one feature. It needs to be changed. In Fusion, I've seen whales. Yes, whales, because free-to-play players cannot get all the way up here. They can though, but it'll take a long time. But with whales, they've become so annoyed at this. I know it might not seem possible, failing 15 draws in a row, but it has happened, and this is detrimental to your count. At the most devs, if you're listening, this should be out of 5 and not 15. Do you know how much it costs to get all the dupes needed for this? A lot of money. And imagine if you're free to play and you're trying to get all these draws in to get your first legendary blessing stone, and what do you get? A whole bag of nothing, failing 15 times in a row. Do you know how many people would quit from that? A lot of people. So devs, if you're listening, this needs to be changed. Same with skill runes. These have to be adjusted. 15 is ridiculous. You know how easy it is to lose 30%? It happens a lot. So devs, if you want to make one change to actually benefit the player base, yo, change this, because listen, I'm pay to win. I failed so many of these. Let me show you my Jinwoo, and this is what I have so far. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 legendary blessing stones. With all the money I've spent, that should not be the norm. I've seen people that have spent more than me, and they have one blessing stone. So although the devs do a lot of good, there are still things that need to be adjusted that I personally am not a fan of, such as the Traces of Shadow, and I guess Park's weapon, if that's confirmed, and also these ridiculous rates on these blessing stones. I get it, they're supposed to be rare, but seriously, losing 15 times, you need 45 epic blessing stones. And let me just remind you, from the event, the Pit of Pet Treasure event, if we go here, I've bought basically all the event shop rewards. So let me get this one. I've gotten all of these, and I've only cleared this, what, 17 times or so? Let me check right here. 18 times in total. That's how many times I've gotten a chest. So if you're free to play, you've probably gotten it, what, like 6 times, maybe at most? So kind of ridiculous if you ask me. And I do want to mention to everyone, I've opened a lot of these in the past. One time, I think I opened around 40 or 20 of these, and I haven't gotten a single heroic blessing stone. It's on stream, you can check it out. Ridiculous, but I guess RNG is a give and take relationship. You win some, you lose some, but I wish there were some guarantees in this, because losing to these rates is honestly very awful. So yeah, let me know your thoughts. A lot to unpack. These shadow nerfs should not happen. If it's a mistake, fine, they can fix it, give us compensation, which the devs did provide, so good on them. But still a lot of other improvements to be made. Again, Traces of Shadow were removed. I'm not a big fan of that, so I do want to see that addressed as well. Why were these removed? So if you want more content like this, make sure you subscribe, and leave a comment down below your thoughts. I want to see them. I want to know exactly what you think, and do drop your like if you enjoyed. This was Zaf signing out.